And
Oh,
Craig,
okay.
did you have something?
Yeah, I mean, this is a basic question, probably past a lot of these other guys, but when when using your stops, Mark, I know that you had said, obviously above, and then you were using a tight, like there's tight, intermediate, and a looser. How do you know which one to use when you're trying to figure out like an exit price or an entry price?
Um, Experience.
Well, that's why I'm trying to figure out how to
Well, I
gauge it,
look,
I guess.
I guess, when I look at this is Estee Lauder, okay,
Hmm.
and this was a cost base. This is where we put it on the list right here, okay, at whatever 75.19 we'll say, and it's rode up, and then this was Monday and this was Tuesday, okay. So Monday was a bad day, but it didn't hit. I go back, I got a lot of profit here. And so I could actually put it at 20. I could put it at the first line of support, which is here. I don't like to give profit back that much, you know, Craig.
Hmm.
So when I'm at Estee Lauder and I see this here and here, and it's going to open up, that's where I put in a sell limit, and then I can leave. Okay, and you can see it came down yesterday and hit my sell limit and popped back up. So yeah, I left a little on the table according to this, what I'm seeing today, but I made over 13%. Okay.
Yeah.
Can this still go sideways and then take off again? Absolutely. But if I'm on a short-term swing on 13%, heck, I love 13% as a yearly gain. If I have an ETF and it goes up 13% a year, I'm good. I'll take this. And that's what swing trade does. So I've learned not to be greedy. And I've also learned that if I made the wrong decision and got out, and let's say this thing goes up to the next level, 91.19, and I got out at 85.11, so I left, $6 on the table, not to let that ruin my weekend because I made 13%. Because I
Now
got out.
your
Go ahead.
91.19 there, is that a tighter set, or
That's on above tight
and you
on my
always
stop.
run tight?
I always do tight.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
It's because
One thing, Craig,
you're a
that's the
more
hardest.
conservative.
I am, but I have to be, and it works
Yeah.
Yeah.
for me. It works for me. I'm not a gambler anymore. uh,
All right.
but the biggest thing, Craig, is to get a system in place that takes your emotions out of it and follow your system and blame it on your system. If it, and again, I have it on the bottom side, 2%. So I'm willing on any trade from the time I get in to lose 2% or let it run up, and that has worked for me because if I lose 2% and then I have several trades where I'm making 13 or 7 or 6%, that 2% is meaningless to me, you know. I would rather run it up than down because once you're down, you get down 50%, it takes 100% price action to get you back to even. It's
Right.
horrible. And I'm sure we've all done that. You get a stock, you buy it, and it goes down 5%. You're like, okay, I'm going to wait for it to go back to even, and then I'll get out. And then it goes back to even, it goes up 2% above. You're like, hey, I'm going to stay in this. Then the next day it goes down 15%. You're like, oh crap, I should have got out yesterday. See, now you're second guessing yourself because you're not following a plan, and
Right.
then your emotions get in. Like, well, now I'm just going to wait for my money to come back. And it's a casino complex, I call it. You go in and you're on a machine and you're up $150. You're like, yeah, this is great. I'm going to keep playing. Then the next thing you know, you're down $150. You're like, well, I'm going to keep playing until I get back to even. Now you're down $500, and you're like, oh man. And that's the same. It's kind of the same mentality in some of this trading. And so I use my guidelines. And if I get out, I get out, and I'm happy with what I get out, and I move on. And I'll wait. I'm pretty patient, and that's the other rule. Don't get greedy and be very patient. And have a plan. And let your plan do it for you, and take your emotions out.
How do you know when to set like your sell order when it's above it like that? I mean, or how do you know when to set it for that or to let it run? I mean, is there
Well,
a
I mean, right here was the example yesterday. Okay, I looked at where it was yesterday. Here's where we closed. I'm like, I don't want to lose any more money. I think it might go down to this point, and it did. Okay, but it did pop back up. So again, I'll take 13%. I looked at what my percentage was. I'm like 13% is pretty really good, dude, for me. I'm like in a couple, in how many days were we in this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 days, 13%. I'll take it. If it goes up, it goes up, and it could. But again, I'm very conservative. I'll take 13% is huge, man. In
Yeah, yeah.
11 days, I wish I could do that all the time. And
Okay.
but I'm happy with 7% in 11 days. I'm happy with 2% in 11 days because let's say if you made 1% a day, okay, just on swing trading. Okay, there's what 280 trading days in a year. That's 280% when you add it all up. That's pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah. I mean, so you got to have a different mindset, and then you got to have a trading plan that works for you and your risk tolerance. I have a low risk tolerance. Okay, I don't. I'm older. Okay, like a lot of us on the channel. I don't have time if something goes down 50% to wait for it to come back up. And so I get out. And I think Bob, you're the same way, Bob, right?
Yeah, my risk tolerance, if I feel the market's even going to take a substantial drop, I start selling off, keeping my profits because there's always an opportunity to get back in. It's just
Absolutely.
you have to be patient. A lot of people get that feeling that you're going to miss out. Yeah,
yeah,
you will miss out for a period of time, but eventually all markets correct. The
yeah,
question
Return to
is
their mean. Yeah,
percentage. Is it 5? Is it 10? Is it 15%? Right now, in this market, we've been pretty damn lucky. This market has been going up, and there's really nothing that can support why it's been going up. And our PEs are very high. When someone before
exactly.
was talking about 21 PE, I mean, that's a
Yeah,
high PE.
yeah.
That's not a low PE, that's high. You get down into the teens is really where you want to be for the correct PE, but you got to watch PEs too, because PEs go two ways, right? You'll find a high PE also on a very aggressive stock. Let's take Nvidia, right? It's never gets down there. It's very rare if it gets down there. But yeah, you gotta keep if you've gone through bad times like Mark and myself and Trent, you get to understand when it's time to roll out because we are little peas in a pot to the big guys. So um you gotta de-risk.
Couldn't
okay,
say it better, Bob. Thank you.
yeah,
Did
thanks.
that answer your question, Craig?
Yes, I think so.
It's
It's
hard
Well, I mean,
because it's so individual.
the way I look at it, Craig, is once you're up on a trade, you shouldn't lose. Okay. So always
Yeah.
have a stop or a limit sell on the bottom side that you're comfortable with taking, whether it's 5% or 7% or whatever, you know.
Well, I'm kind of thinking on the top side, like if you initially look at something, let's say, you know, you see a stop at a certain amount. I know you've said before you put in an order, okay, it's at 15 up here, but we're at 12 right here, but you'll put a sell order in at 15. I'm trying to figure out how you decide that.
Oh, let me see again
Or am
here.
I guess maybe I'm confused. I don't know.
I don't
No,
think you're confused.
I think it depends on your time frame, I think also. If it's a short-term swing trade, look for resistance levels going back in time. Um, and that'll give you a better idea of, okay, this could become resistance. This is where the sells have been in the past. Um, I'm going to put my sell order just below that, maybe
So
5 cents or so.
you're
let's
using
let's
more of
use
this.
let's use this one, Craig. So this is one that just got done yesterday. So you got in here, okay, at this point, you're writing it, you're writing it, writing it. So your question is, where did I decide to put this line in here? This is where it sold. Okay. This is where I
Mhm.
put my stop, my limit sell order right here when it was up. Is that your question, Craig?
Yes, yeah.
So, this is today. This was Tuesday. This was Monday, that big dump day. So we ended on Friday. We're outside the Bollinger Band, 1, 2, 3 times outside the Bollinger Band. Normally, it doesn't do any more than 5 times. You don't trade outside of this line more than 5%. That's on average. So we know that as a fact. We know that already. So at some point, it's going to pull back in. The other thing we have is we have a large profit. So Monday came and we had that big, we opened up here, okay, at the top. This is where it opened, the price. On Monday, I looked and I said, okay, I don't want to lose any money. I don't know how far this thing's going to go down. So I went, and this is a big old candle here. Okay, that was a good day. And this was a big old candle here. And so my decision was, like Trent said, I looked back short term on mine and I said, I'm going to put it right here because, it opened here. And if it goes down that far, the chances are I don't want it to go any further and lose any more. I don't want to get down in this area. So I put it right. I look back and it's right about where this opened and this closed. That's where I put my sell limit on Monday. Monday, it didn't hit. Okay. I'm doing good.
Yeah.
Tuesday, yesterday, it did hit. Okay. Fine. I'm up 13%. Today, okay, we're up a little bit. Still not looking good. I'm looking at this. And if the market turns better, Craig, and this comes down and hits this 9 and starts giving me more incentive to go up, maybe I get back in. But here's the kicker. I'm going down here to my oscillators. I'm seeing the slow stochastic has crossed over a day or two ago. Okay?
Yeah, they're dropping.
Yep. And then you're seeing the MACD come down. If that thing crosses over, that means this price action is going to cross below that 9. And you've been pretty good on your momentum, but we'll see. So I'm happy with getting out. But I just go back and look backwards, basically. Let's look at let's see if I can like ball. Here's one where I bought, or I was trying to buy. Okay. So I went back. Here's ball, and this was on our list Monday. So here's today. Here's yesterday. Here's Monday. Monday was down. Okay. Didn't get in. Tuesday it came up. I'm like, well, where would I buy in here? Well, I would probably put it right at that point. Well, it didn't hit. So I didn't put it in today. But luckily I did because look what happened to ball. Now we're down below the 9. So again, that would save me from, a little bit of a loss today. And then I should have went down and looked. The stochastic starting to roll, which gives me an indication too. So this one didn't get into because it didn't hit. But I try to go back, either hit here or here. Here's a big old candle that came off that 200. And I'm like, well, maybe that's where I should put in, but now I'm starting to see the 9 roll. So I'm glad I didn't hit that one for sure. So again, you kind of go back. It kind of takes practice and a little bit of time. When I said, experience, Craig, it really is. The more you do it, the better you get. And that's why we always, we suggest you do a paper trade, when you start doing, swing trades, or even if you're going to do long-term investing, just kind of pick something and say, go back on a chart and see how your system would have worked, and we do that all the time on, on the 200-day moving average. We go back and look and and back test it and see how it works. So I'm still not sure I answered your question, but we'll work on this every day.
That helps. That helps.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks for that question, because that's a good question.
I think a big thing you can always do is just, what is it? Henry, he's an Irish ex-hedge fund manager. He's a real dynamic guy. He says, I'll sit for hours on end looking at chart board, and he'll just go through hundreds of charts and he'll look. And what you do in doing that, you're looking at charts, you're looking at behavior, because remember, this is all human behavior and this is a study of human behavior. And if you more and more you look at it, and you look at the behavior in all different time frames, different events, different circumstances, different geopolitical, economic events, you start to see patterns. And the more and more you do that and you look at it, the more and more you start to see, in a way, the future. You see resistance and support levels, and you just become better at it. I will sometimes just go through, Carrie's list. I'll go through I'll just, pull up the Russell 3000 and just go look at, 1 year, 5 year charts, looking for something. Just, I find it interesting because it's human behavior that we're studying there, and it can tell you a lot. So
Yep.
just practice. It's just time.
Yeah.
Here's something else. I mean, Bob brought up the regional banks, okay? And so something that I do is I'll go look at, see how a sector is doing, okay? So like the XLF, this is the financial sector, sector ETF. Nice run up, got above resistance, hit sell orders, and now we've come back down. So I'm like, okay, what does that mean? Let's look at JPM. See if you start seeing a pattern here. Let's look at Goldman Sachs. Okay, where we're seeing a pattern, let's look at Morgan Stanley. Okay, let's look at Citigroup. And the fact I can go through these, I've been looking at these way too long. Let's look at Wells Fargo. Okay. I mean, that nice run up. And you see this?
They all look similar. Yeah.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden they hit resist and they all look similar. And then you see this come up. And now I go to myself as a swing trader. I'm pretty much done probably in financials for a while. Now I need to go find somewhere else to find. And maybe I'll go somewhere else and maybe it's industrials. And I start seeing industrials come down and hit that bottom and start coming up. So I'll start looking in the industrial section to find these stocks. And then, you'll see several. And sometimes you'll see in our watch list, several, and maybe they're in energy, maybe they're in banking, maybe they're in industrials, because money moves sector to sector,
Yeah. Taking it. Also look at, like, I've got here, I'll show you real quick, of XLF. This is a monthly chart of XLF. And what do you see? You see that, it's been trading, in my case, above the intermediate monthly trend line since 2012. It just bounces up and down. It broke through it back during the March 2020, but it's just going up. And you look at these deviations from, I'll drop this trade trend line because that's a little deceiving. You see these deviations from how far it gets out from this intermediate trend line, monthly trend line. And that's where you're at. You look at this, where it's at today, and it's right up against resistance. So there's a good chance you could see your MACD and your RSI start to roll over. This is a monthly point of view.
It's going to pull back near your yellow line there, your 60, whatever that is.
62, yeah. So, or it's going to come back down to where it hit resistance back in November of 21, became support in April of 24. It could be another support level right in this range. So it could be a better, a $10 change in that price and a better buying opportunity. But you take that into account with, what Mark broke down, the individual companies and their earnings reports, and start to come to these conclusions. But I think it's really important to start to look at things from all different time frames. Like Mark said, money flows from one sector to another. And historically, you can see that pattern, from, in this case, like financials to maybe, what's it, XLE? XLE is energy. If I go back and look at energy, let's see, this is going back to 1999. Energy has a resistance level right in there, right around, just round it up to say $95. Boom, back in 2008, something similar to that in 2014, and then all through the 2020s. That's where it's at. What's going to drive oil higher?
That's a good point, Trent. I'd go back and look, and you can see that your markets follow. They're an animal of trends. Definitely.
Was it XLD? I'll just do one more. This is consumer communications. Look at, communications ETF is pretty new. So
Meta's in that one.
What's that?
Meta's in this one. Drives it a lot.
So 2018.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't really have a good, if I look at it from the weekly, gives me a better idea. So I would encourage you to look at all time frames. It can give you an idea where money's flowing, because that's what you're chasing. You're
Yeah,
chasing the flow of money. If you're shorting stocks, you're chasing the flow of money out of a sector. You go sector, companies, weekly, monthly, weeklies, dailies, depending on your time frame. Yeah.
I think the one thing that I haven't been doing, I mean, I'm looking at all oscillators, but looking further back, like you said, I need to start doing that more.
Yeah. It's the kind of thing my wife and I have had a number of discussions over the last month since we've been traveling a bunch. And it's like, we'd like to change this in our lives. We'd like to change that in our lives. But if you go back in history of your life, you can see patterns and behavioral patterns of what you do and how you do it. And it's a matter of, if you can read those, you can become a better reader of who you are and what you're going to do and how you're going to react to the situation. It's the same thing with stock market.
Yeah.
How are we going to react to Iran or Israel bombing Iran? Historically, you look at that and go back in time, and we didn't react. Markets didn't react to that because we're just used to it. But that's the kind of thing to think about. Anyhow, blah blah blah. Just have fun with it.
Yep.
Just
I have
smile
to
and
say
laugh.
this is our longest morning edge of all time. We just broke a record, I think.
We went into my nap time. Come on.
Yeah, an hour and 24 minutes, your nap time. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. We didn't know that Trent took naps in the morning.
He does.
Lately, I've been sleeping much, so a little 15, 20 minute keeps me.
Well, if you want to sleep in a camper,
I haven't bought the camper yet, so I'm still.
I was talking
Airbnb.
about your trip.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
All
No,
right.
no
Anything else, guys? Since we've already gone late, anything else that we missed? I can't wait till tomorrow.